Well, good morning. I really have a horrible attention grabber, but these are some questions, and if you guess it right, you guys are amazing. So what comes in a green bottle, and if you're underage, you probably won't be able to buy it. And you may be confused with sake, but it's really not. Does anybody know the answer?
Heineken.
Don't say.
No. Dang it, you guys are really close. Just kidding.
NyQuil.
But today, I want to introduce you to a Korean alcohol called soju. And, okay. I want to introduce you to the culture of soju and what soju is. And let me start off by explaining what soju is and a little history behind it. Soju is a distilled vodka-like drink. It's clear in color, and it was originally made from rice, but as Chungang Daily, a Korean newspaper, states, from 1920 to 1999, when rice got scarce in Korea, ironically, the government put a ban on using rice, so a lot of distilleries started using sweet potatoes, and tapioca instead, which actually gave a better taste and smoother feel. The alcohol content ranges from 10% to 45%, and soju was actually very high in alcohol content, but since the ban, it actually lessened the alcohol content, and this is very smooth, and it's really not that strong, but it could give you the same effect as drinking a bottle of vodka. And the reason why it's in a green bottle is there's no really actual reason behind it. Since 1994, a company called Tucson actually came out with a green bottle, which was crazy popular. I don't know why. I guess people are attracted to green. So since then, soju comes in green bottles. I don't think I ever saw any other bottles besides green. Which brings to my next point, the culture behind why Korean people drink soju. These points may sound like Koreans are alcoholics, but trust me, not all of them are alcoholics. And instead of finding examples about the culture, I found the very good phrase or a paragraph that Kim Jong-kwang, who is an author, wrote, and this is the quote. Soju is a powerful, pungent alcohol that, as some Koreans insist, can magically save their soul from the wretched past. It can take them to high places where no drugs could lift them. Its liquid balm heals wounded hearts. Soju can even rise and answer existential questions. So a lot of Korean people believe that soju breaks the ice between new people or new friends and bring people closer. They could talk about a lot of different things, and it's usually used in like a work environment and with Korean food. And lastly, I want to tell you guys how soju is used in the United States. Soju is actually categorized as beer and wine. So many Korean restaurants sell soju without having a hard liquor license. As LA Times states, so the hard liquor license is $12,000, but to obtain a beer and wine license, it's only $548. So a lot of restaurants use soju in cocktails. They can make cocktails without using vodka or having to pay the high fee of having a hard liquor license. And these are some soju cocktails. Hard to believe, they're actually really good. So if you're over 21, you guys can go out and try them. If you're over 21. And and it's not only Korean restaurants who use soju in their cocktails. A lot of American restaurants use them too. And so in conclusion, I've talked about soju, history, and a little culture behind it. Maybe if you guys go out next time, have some Korean food, you guys could grab a bottle.
You didn't bring us samples?
Yeah, that would not work. no idea. I want my damn sample.
Samantha, what did you think?
Okay, so I thought the attention grabber was pretty good. It got me interested in the beginning because I didn't know what you were talking about. But then there was no real preview of the main points, so I wasn't sure exactly what you were going to be talking about, and then you just kind of went into it. I thought you used the cards well. You weren't just reading off of them, you kept looking up and talking to the audience, which was good. The visual aids were good right after you announced what the drink was, because we were able to see what it was and what it looked like. And then you went over the main points at the end, which I kind of think you should have done at the beginning, but overall I think it was pretty good.
All right. Yeah, I didn't have a problem with the attention device except for the fact that you apologized for it, which seems a little strange. That's not necessarily a good way to inspire your audience that you know what you're talking about or feel confident about what you've done. I think you should have just gone with the attention devices you had, and if it falls on its face, that's the way it goes. Don't worry about it. I know you're trying to reduce the anxiety a little bit that way, but it really is counterproductive. I thought the topic was clearly identified. You had a clear thesis statement. I kind of agree with Stephanie. I think you needed a much clearer preview. It seemed like you previewed the first point, but not the rest of the speech, and that seemed odd to me. There was information on the first point about the history, the background, some of the choices about how popular it is, and the color of the bottle. I don't know where any of that information came from. On the second point, we did get at least a quote that explained how it is viewed culturally, and you did give us a source citation on that. I did think that there were some problems with the quote, mostly because of pronunciation issues. Not a big deal that we're emphasizing right now, but I'm sure that it's not. I think the word that you have in the quote is pungent as opposed to something. And there was another word in there also that jumped out at me, and I thought, well, that's a little bit awkward in the way you're saying it. So it's just one of those things you got to practice on, and that anytime you're with an unfamiliar term or phrase, might want to double check it. And like I said, we're not picking on that right now, except I noticed it. So I'm sorry. The visuals I thought were integrated pretty well into the speech. They don't always add a lot of information to the speech, but they do make it interesting and easy to remember things. They're shown at appropriate times. There was one that went by so quickly that I barely noticed it was there. The one where you're showing the whole plate of food and the stuff being laid out there, and it makes a reference to the culture. I don't think it was up for more than 4 or 5 seconds, and then it was gone again. So it felt like that was a little bit rushed. When you're speaking to the audience, you do generally a good job. I do think you occasionally get a little bit of the giggles, and that makes it complicated for you to see. And now you're getting a little bit of the giggles now. And that's just anxiety stuff coming out. You should be more confident in your speech. Talk to the audience. I think you relaxed quite a bit while you were talking and got better as you went along. So, like I said, I think you were doing a good job on that. All right, thank you.